Welcome to Dragon Magazine. This is episode 103, issue 103 of Dragon Magazine. We're going through every one chronologically. My name's Rob.
And I'm Jack.
And I'm Choppa.
We're here to talk about this magazine. I almost said article. November 1985. The cover is called Birth of the Blues by Robert Pritchard. Get it? It's a blue dragon. Birth of the Blues. There's baby blue dragons.
I see a little baby blue dragon, but this dragon looks very emaciated.
She just had babies.
Yeah, but look at that neck. You know, eat some bread or something, you know?
She's prominent breasts full of dragon milk.
She's got little T-Rex arms going on.
And these guys are going to murder her and her babies. This is horrible.
Well, she's still got 2 eggs. She's got 1 hatched, if you look over here.
She's about calling on lightning. Maybe zap these mother effers. Well, baby killers.
Those guys deserve, especially this girl that's standing right here, all lackadaisy.
Yeah, she's not even paying attention.
And then the thief trying to get whatever this is.
Treasure at the top.
Yeah, you know, everyone else is defensive. These 2 guys in the bottom, they're like, take cover, snapper.
Yeah, I don't know what the girl Light is just kind of standing there.
And this thief, I don't know, you know.
She's just kind of like looking down like, it wasn't my idea, guys.
She's like, I'm sorry. I feel bad. I
didn't know she was pregnant. But yes, it's Robert Pritchard. I don't know if I don't think we've had one from him before. Not that I remember.
You think this is water in the bottom left?
I think it's a cliff, isn't it?
Chasm?
Yeah. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it is reflection.
Yeah, I think this is reflection.
I see the lightning reflecting in it. Yeah.
Like it looked like a chasm for half a second to me.
But I think you're right. I think it is water. Although they're not reflecting though.
It doesn't reflect them. So,
so maybe it is a cliff.
Weird.
Well, these guys are even more idiotic than those 2 covering over there.
He's just gonna like pop them off the edge.
All she has to do is swing that skinny arm of hers down there.
Maybe they're hoping they just don't notice him.
Anyways, one lightning bolt will take care of all those cretins.
I will say, I think I figured out why that girl is looking down all sad.
Why?
Because someone's clothes are hanging from that dragon's mouth. That might have been her friend.
Oh, yes. He already ate somebody. Yep. She's like, oh. Or that was her favorite. It was her favorite cloak.
That was her favorite retainer. Oh.
George,
I miss him.
Okay, who wants to go first? I'm going to choose Choppa.
Ooh, I don't know if I should do this article. I literally wrote, if no one does it, use this one.
Well, then do another one.
All right, let's go to 14 then.
14. Arcana Update Part 1.
Yeah, this is the first of many corrections from the notoriously known error-ridden Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah. It's like so many bad things in Earth Arcana.
And I read it and I LOL'd at the fact that Gary said that the barbarian is not too powerful.
It is. There is like pages and pages of FAQ here.
Yeah. And it's so bad that if you go to page 50, there are whole page replacements that you could put in your book.
Yeah.
That was mine. Cut out.
That was one of mine. It was.
Yeah, where they have to leave. Well, that's the thing. This magazine's only 100 pages, and some of those are blank. So that's another thing with this.
2 of them blank. But, you know, Unearthed Arcana wasn't a horrible book in itself. I think it was rushed, but then we know what's happening behind the scenes. If you read the article, if you read the book, or if you read any of the Wikipedias, this is where the Bloom brothers are really crapping the money out, and they're trying to stop the bleeding by rushing the Unearthed Arcana out.
Also, they really cheaped out on the binding and stuff. Unearthed Arcana is notorious for falling apart.
Just like falling apart, yeah. So, it's just you see the writing on the wall. If you lived it or haven't lived it, but you've read the books and you've heard the stories, it's all starting to unfold before our eyes now.
I do like how that Unearthed Arcana is 128 pages, and this is like 10 pages of FAQ. So that's a good percentage of the book is FAQ'd right here.
It's a lot, and then we can't even talk about how we got to replace pages.
And Mohan in the thing says that, oh, you guys are real good proofreaders. It's like, no, you have bad proofreaders.
Yeah, you just did a poor job.
Yeah.
I mean,
editors cost money.
If you're gonna play it off,
Yeah,
play it
that's
off
right,
like,
Jack.
oh, you guys did a good job. Thanks for helping us out.
That's something that almost every company skimps on is proofreading and editors. Like, because
Oh.
it's like the job that is just quiet. You don't notice them, and it costs a lot of money, but it's necessary. Like, that's the thing.
Definitely is.
You don't want to put out a thing like this where it's just so bad. Like, people today, they find like 2 mistakes in a book and they're like, oh, this is terribly proofreading. They didn't know how it was back in the day. Unearthed Arcana was literally unreadable.
And it wasn't a Word file either. You literally had a manuscript. You had to write your corrections down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's not like you can just fix the PDF and put it back out.
Yeah.
Just email me the corrections. I'll take care of it.
What's an email?
No, it was
soon.
Not that easy.
A couple more years, you'll get some.
I'll bike messenger you the corrections.
DARPANet will be coming soon. Maybe they can get on that.
It's true.
And then someone would have to go into the film room. They would have to make the film, develop it. Then they'd have to cut it and put it into the layout. And hope that it was right.
I guarantee that the next printings, like we were saying, that Unearthed Arcana is getting more printings. They're not going to be corrected. It's going to be exact same printing with the same issues.
Yeah,
they're not doing a revised edition where they fixed everything like nowadays would happen. They're just putting it right back out.
I mean, it just says something that they sold out on the first print, but they didn't have any. I don't think they had any compunction to fix it during the second printing.
No, it's going to be sold out too. Yeah, they know people will buy it, especially since they hyped it up so much that you need to buy this if you play AD&D. So
yeah,
which is not true. Especially since within a couple years we're getting second edition.
Because it gets rolled into the second edition.
Yeah, second edition is still probably 4. I think it's 4 years away, but still.
Yeah, but
that'll come up in my article.
First edition and second edition were my jam.
Second edition, yeah. Anyways, anything else about the update patch?
Nope, that's about it.
Jack, what's your first article?
Well, maybe since Pat did mention it, and it is one of mine, I'm just gonna if we go down to 50 and just take a look, like a brief. It is probably the smartest thing they did was that they made a tear out where you could just insert this into your Unearthed Arcana somewhere.
I am currently showing the large blank page that just at the bottom says it was left blank, so you can just take it out of your magazine.
Yeah.
So you can cut it out without damaging the magazine.
So that's it. Like I was going to go into it a bit more.
But... I mean, you literally would cut this page out, and then you would either glue it to the page that you had or staple it. It needed to be fixed.
It's funny. A lot of this looks like typesetting errors, right? Where when they readjusted the page, some stuff got cut off or something.
Yeah, well, if you look at this Thieves 2 table, I mean, the font is just horrible. Like, Find and Remove Traps is such a huge font compared to the rest.
Yeah, they always do that. I noticed that in D&D in first edition books. It's always
and
like
then
that.
it skews the table over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's.
I know Jack is itching at the skin looking at some of these things.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. Yeah, for them to do it in the magazine, it was a good way to do it.
Yeah, I have a different opinion on that. I think it's embarrassing that they had to do this.
best of a bad situation.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, at least they did it. Like, that's another thing. At least they tried to fix what they.
Actually, I'm looking at this closely now. I might have been wrong.
What?
It actually tells you what page you're replacing this part with. Yeah, I thought it was a whole page replacement.
No, it's all different sections. Yeah, you cut these out and stick them in your game, or you could just put these pages right in the thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, funny, but it's just
there's a copyright permission in there too, because photocopies are starting to come around.
There you go.
And yeah, I guess you would have to say you're allowed to photocopy this. Everything else is under trademark or but this we're allowing, so you can make yourself whole. Yep.
Anyways, Jack, are you going to count that as your ad? Or do you want a real one?
I think so. We got a little bit of.
Okay. I'm going to go to page 10 because I like getting these Gygax ones. But this is the
one I put down to use if no one does it.
I'm glad you didn't do it because this is, I think, my only article in this magazine. But the future of the game, what second edition will look like, if only Gary knew, he would not be involved with second edition. It's 8 future things of the game by Gary Gygax, or as I like to call it, things Gygax will never do. So, just a little history. Second edition starts production mid-1986. That's what he says it's going to happen, but it actually doesn't start until 87 without Gygax, and comes out in 89. So that's the timetable we're looking at here. He does hypothesize that there'll be maybe a third and maybe even a 4th edition. What? As we know, there's 5th edition out currently, and 6th edition is planned within next year. I think 6 is coming out, which is way too fast. You don't need a 6th edition, but hey, whatever.
I think they're calling it 1 though, right?
Yeah. BS. They're calling it cash grab. That's what they're calling it.
Well, it's now a multimedia thing, much like 4 was a miniatures tabletop game. This is going to be a computer.
Well, it's because you have to have a subscription to have it. Because God forbid you just buy the books and own the books. No, you have to pay a monthly subscription. Anyways, enough about the future. Gygax changed his mind from AD&D, because remember when AD&D came out, he was like, "You'll never need another edition. Never, never, ever. This is it. This is the final edition of D&D."
If you're a game maker, you can never say that. You should never say that.
He did say that.
Oh, I know he did, but I'm just saying, you should never if you're a game maker.
He sees the new edition, as we eventually know as second edition. It'll contain all Player's Handbook, Unearthed Arcana, and Oriental Adventures, all in one tome, which obviously does not happen. Unearthed kind of gets rolled in, but not all those character classes do, though. I don't think.
No, I think the Barbarian gets rolled in, but weaker.
Yeah, and the Cavalier doesn't. Thief Acrobat might be. I think it's in the Thieves book. I think they have that kind of stuff.
Cavalier?
No, the Thief Acrobat.
Oh no, yeah, the Cavalier I think is in the Fighter's Handbook.
Might be in the Fighter's book. Yeah, they kind of do subclasses more. In Oriental Adventures, maybe in the Fighter's book they might have samurai and stuff, but I don't.
Oh, you know what? The Barbarian's in the Fighter's Handbook too.
Yeah. And did they come out with it? They might even come out with a Oriental Adventures handbook kind of thing, but I don't remember. He says that they should get rid of assassins and psionics, which
I was all for getting rid of psionics.
Yeah, everybody is.
Yeah, he's half right there.
I think he does say like.
Though they make a psionicist handbook.
He thinks, they do a psionicist handbook, but he does say that psionics should be only in modern or future games, not in fantasy games for some reason. I don't know why his idea of getting rid of assassins is. I have no idea what his thinking behind that is. He says there's going to be new classes: the Mystic, the Savant, and the Jester. Which, once again, they might be subclasses in those books, but I don't remember any of those.
Just a thief is an assassin, also.
Once again, that probably happens too, which is subclass. Yeah. He all about the elemental planes. He says elemental planes added to the DM guide because he loves these elemental planes.
That's his jam.
It is his jam.
He does love the planes, that's for sure.
Then he goes, that's all he has about second edition. But now he's mad about demigods being renamed legends and lore because it seems to be because it's appeasing to the religious detractors. So already,
I'm kind of on board with that too.
It doesn't matter; it's just a name. But second edition D's and Demigods is called Legends and Lore, so that does happen, and so that's already in the works. And he also, at the end, he floats the idea of what he describes is exactly what happens to be a beginner's box or a starter box that we see today, like the shortened rules, simplified, that you get into the game, and then if you really want to get how the actual play, you buy the real book. But he like that's an early idea that people eventually catch on to, that he had an idea. So it does show that as much as we rag on Gygax, he has like a lot of the sees where it should go. Like he's a smart guy.
I think he has vision.
Yeah,
he does certainly had vision. I don't think there's any question that he created something basically wholesale. And
we'll get to my other article about that.
Okay, well,
but yeah, no, he definitely has I think he has a lot of ideas. Some of them are bad, but some are enlightened. So, but he does see it. Definitely does see D&D and AD&D as his baby, and nobody else knows what's right. Like the D's and Demigods thing, he's like, no. how dare they? Like he says, like he
Well,
doesn't approve of
that
people
that
retitling his work.
that comes with a project of love, I guess, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but I think for such a big company, it's he's too hands on.
Well,
But he also
I
might be
mean,
grasping for it too, because at this
that
time,
happens. I think that's just a lot of everyone, just those kind of creative people. They just don't know how to let go.
he also might be like trying to hold on tighter because he does see that he no longer has control of the company.
Mm-hmm.
He sees it's becoming its own corporation away from him. That it's maybe not as necessary as he once was. Like, and they proved like he didn't even finish Temple of Elemental Evil. Like a lot of Unearthed Arcana, he just had the ideas. Somebody else wrote it. Like there's a lot of things where he didn't actually do it. Like and I think he's seeing that. Oh wait, I can be replaced. I went out to L.A. to try to do all this stuff, and meanwhile, all back there they were doing all this stuff without me, and now he sees it, and I think he's starting to get scared, and for good reason. So interesting. Anyways, so that's Gygax's State of the second edition, which is interesting. I thought because some of it comes true and some does not. Who's next? I think it's Patrick again.
All right, so I guess let's go to page 20.
20 gnomes.
I just reminded this. So in my notes, I wrote, I feel like these have replaced my ecologies.
Yeah, because they don't do ecologies anymore. Right?
No, because I haven't seen an ecology a little bit, and these are just all about the gnomes now of Korean. I mean, I get it because Dragonlance is such a huge thing at this point.
Is this where gnomes became real like tinker gnomes?
And that's exactly what I wrote.
Yeah.
And that's what I wrote in my notes. I go, I wonder if this is where gnomes got the stereotype of being tinkerers. It was from the Dragonlance because
100%.
we had this discussion. We had the discussion where we couldn't remember. We hadn't figured out where gnomes got this whole tinker.
Yeah, because before it was just they're garden gnomes, they're druids or things like that. But this is it's Dragonlancers become they're tinkerers. Yeah, watchmakers.
Yeah. So again, as with all the other all abouts for Dragonlance, this is just a player character. This being a much more feasible player character than the last two. I should say last one. Last one because the other one I'm just biased against.
Yes, that's a little bit of racism slipping underneath the door crack. A little dark shadow.
A little dark shadow for the top knot. Hate it. I mean, it's just like any of these other player characters. These are much gnome guys are the tinkerers here, so they're not much for adventuring. So I don't know how you would play this character unless you're playing a gnome going out to try and find something to finish creating some big giant thing you're trying to make or whatever.
Yeah, almost like an archaeologist trying to find your bits to put something together.
But
or as somebody sends you out as that getting their stuff for them.
Yeah.
You're
so and
apprentice.
just like D&D, these guys are offshoot of dwarves, just like the Gully dwarves are offshoot of dwarves. They all have their religious background from the same god. If I remember right, when I bought the box set, I think whoever the Reorx was the dwarven god. I think that's what it was. And if I remember right, don't quote me on this because I'm just going back trying to remember from how many years has it been now? 30 years?
Yep.
Almost,
yep.
Yeah, I think the Reorx,
30 years, almost 40 years.
40 years. So the fact that I even remember Reorx as his name is pretty good.
It's not 90s were 30 years ago, Pat. That's all I'm saying.
So like the religion is like he strikes one of these drawers with his hammer, and he splits them into a gnome and dwarf, and then whatever the Gully dwarf god does something to steal parts of a dwarf to make his own.
Not enough, obviously.
Not enough. Well, don't quote me on the religion, but this is what I slightly remember because at some point, Dragonlance becomes so mainstream, and at the time I was so against everything mainstream. I moved to, at the time, which was not a mainstream thing, Forgotten Realms, but then that became mainstream, and then I kind of drifted away from D&D to Shadowrun.
As you should.
Yeah. And so right around the time Forgotten Realms and second edition starts to really take off. I didn't hate Forgotten Realms as much as Dragonlance made me want to hate it. And I think it was the players that gravitated towards Dragonlance that really soured Dragonlance to me, because it wasn't a bad story. I loved the books.
I kind
It
of
wasn't
agree
a
with
bad
that.
world. But I feel like the people that gravitated to Dragonlance
Yeah.
maybe not like playing
The
that
people
game.
who like Dragonlance in our group also were people who are like, that turns me off wanting to read Dragonlance. So.
I never read the books. I just thought I liked the adventures.
Yeah, no, I read the books. The books were were good. Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman wrote a great trilogy and some prequels and some side books for it. It didn't not like wanting to play the campaign setting did not stop me from reading the books.
See, Jack's the opposite. Anyways,
Yep,
Jack.
those are gnomes.
Those are gnomes. Tinker gnomes.
I know what page Jack's going to.
Does he?
Then say it.
28.
Page 5.
Oh, son of a gun.
5.
On the right-hand side, it's called The Monster We Can't Defeat. And it is Mr. Kim Mohan.
Yeah, this is one of mine
it has
too.
some bad news for all of us. So
we implied this
you at
before
home-
when we were talking about how they were complaining about the price of DC heroes.
You better get some more change out of your couch
And how
cushion
they snuck the price up to $3 and just never stopped being $3.
Well, now it's going to be $3.50. They're putting
Oh,
the
now
price
it's
up.
$3.50.
At least they made the announcement this time.
106. It goes to $3.50. So keep your eyes out.
Yes, and the last few magazines, if I was paying $3, I would have felt I got my money's worth, even at the time. And $3.50 is not a small. It's not a small amount of this 50 cents is not. I don't know. When you're buying something for $3 and expecting a certain level of quality and what is in it, that 50 cents, when you get one that has, say, a giant adventure in it, or
I wonder if that's stopping soon. I wonder when Dungeon starts.
so, something like that. So I
feel
don't.
like this is that around that time, like even comic books went up in price, and then I debated.
Yeah, but they went from like
they went from like a quarter to 50 cents.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong,
75
it's
cents.
still 50 cents, but I was thinking that's a whole quarter. And
it's true.
I'm only in high school. I don't even have a worker's permit that I can work at McDonald's yet.
You hadn't got your green card yet.
I still have to sneak in my mom's purse and steal change so I can go to the arcade.
You haven't got your green card yet, Jack says.
Yes. So the nuts and bolts is the cost of production for the magazine's gone up.
1 year away from the beginning of, almost exactly a year away from the beginning of Dungeon. So I can see them taking them out, but then that's even less quality, right? Like that's even less you're getting for the magazine. So we'll see if the page count goes up.
If you were buying Dragon Magazine for the adventures, like those mini modules, and that's what you were clamoring for, yeah, you'd be disappointed. But,
well, not really, because then you just go buy Dungeon. You got a whole magazine, multiple of them.
Yes, so. But so costs do go up 50 cents. It's not a small amount, but it's not a giant amount.
Well, I would say not a small amount for us nowadays.
Even then, I think
50 cents was huge.
Yeah, but if you really liked Dragon, you probably wouldn't have affected you.
I had the subscription, and I remember when the prices went up, and I always thought I got my money's worth out of it.
Yeah.
Overall, month to month. But that's back when you sat and read a periodical.
And
no one does it anymore. So like 50
Dragon
cents
magazine,
nowadays.
no matter what it was, I read through every issue like multiple times. I had because it's not like you had tons of them, so you just read,
Yeah.
like you just pour it over them.
There was nothing on TV. You went back to your room and you pulled out old magazines.
Yeah.
You went back through and read them again.
Yeah, like that's why I don't have them anymore, because they got destroyed. I read them so much.
Yeah. So, but anyways, that's the new reality. 50 cents more for your magazine.
And the rule books are going from the other. Well, if it's $12, going to $13.50. If it's if it's $12 or $13.50, it's going to $15. So that's a big jump. and modules are going from 6 to 8, and the large modules are going from 12 to 15. So
Yeah.
So everything's
I
going
remember
a lot.
I remember, and I thought it was
That's a lot. That's a lot more. Like
That's
now it's a joke because like you can't buy a rule book for less than 50 at least. Like, you know, it's like so funny. But
they were
time,
hemorrhaging money at TSR
yeah,
at this point.
they needed the cash inflow.
They needed the injection of cash.
100%.
Yeah, it's crazy. But they do mention that Dragon Magazine hasn't gone up. It's been $3 since for 5.5 years. It's been the same price. So that's another thing. Like nowadays, we're used to price increases like every year. So if you got $3 for 5.5 years, that's not too bad. So, anyways, that was Jack. We're going to go to page 60, I think. Sorry, 50, 59, 58. Sorry, 58.
Oh, keep going.
58. It's the profiling Gary Gygax.
See, I put this in my ads because I wasn't sure if this was an ad or an article.
Well, I don't know how it would be an ad. He's not selling anything. But,
well, I mean, it was just a profile.
An article.
I don't remember this segment, though. I'll be honest with you.
Wow, I think once again it's a fluff piece to show how indispensable he is into the company. Like this, I'm sure Gary's like, I wrote this up for you guys. Could you just put it?
I haven't looked ahead. I didn't know if they were just doing everyone in the company.
We'll see if they do any more. But it's interesting.
Is Kim O'Hang going to be next?
Yeah,
because you're right. I don't remember this ever being a thing. So
I think it's the only one.
I assumed it was a one-off, but until Pat just said when we look forward, maybe there's more. Maybe there is.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's a one-off, just him trying to hype himself up, saying, look, guys, don't fire me. He does give the history of the formation of TSR, which is kind of interesting, and the start of D&D, but absolutely no mention of Arneson at all. Like, not even.
Well, he talks about the guy that
the guy died
for his life is Dan Kay.
Yeah, but
Dan Kay, who helped him start the thing.
But no mention of Arneson. Like I was like, wow, you really just wrote him out of the story, didn't you?
Well, that was long gone.
Yeah, but usually they'll give a little bit. You've been like, yeah, him and Arn Anderson, not the wrestler.
Well, I think at this point, there's still there's lawsuits going on.
I don't know. There's a lot of bad blood, anyways. But and then he has a selected bibliography, not counting D&D or AD&D, and it's a bunch of weird things other than Boot Hill. Chainmail, obviously, but it's other things I'm like, I've never heard of any of these games. So
Don't Give Up the Ship I've seen, Little Bighorn I've seen.
Probably at the museum, maybe.
Alexander the Great. Well, I've seen Don't Give Up the Ship and Little Bighorn. Alexander the Great's at the museum. I don't know Warrior Mars.
No, I assume that's about John Carter.
Got to be yeah.
Anyways, it's a little fluff piece about Gygax, and I thought it was funny because once again, this is really playing on ego and.
Well, I would hope it was an idea of let's bring the company out, try and generate some interest in TSR.
I bet he wrote it himself and just said, "Hey guys, public." Mohan's a really good friend of his because, spoilers: when Gygax leaves, Mohan leaves with him. So
yeah,
so they're really good friends. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're both like, "Hey, let's get the people on our side, like, you know, like try to get, so I'll make it so they can't fire me because the people demand that I be," which would be interesting to see what happens when that all goes down, because I wonder if they'll even mention it, you know, because he is the D&D, right? Like at the time, it's the cult of him, right? So
well, he's the face of D&D. He will always be the face of D&D. I mean, as much as people don't like to admit
that's why I'm curious. Like when he gets fired, he can't be the face of D&D anymore. So I'm curious how they're going to play that. So I can't wait. It's about a year.
They tried and bury him. I mean, I
know.
They stopped every one of his ventures.
Oh, I know.
The people that took over TSR.
They fired. I mean, they sued him when he tried to make a game with Mayfair Games, and they sued him.
Mm-hmm. And they started on another one. They did two. They stopped two of his games.
And then he eventually went to court for it, and they said, okay, you can use Gord the Rogue and like something else, and that's it. Like that's all that you can have.
No, there was another one. He just had to change the name of the RPG system.
Well, eventually,
it never took off.
Yeah, but yeah. The stuff he started right after, maybe it was just clones of D&D too. It could have been exact same, but as we know now, you can actually do that. Like you can't.
Dangerous Journeys was the one
that's the later one
that got printed.
Yeah, the one he does with Mayfair Games, it was like called like something very similar to Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it was very, very, very close to D&D, and
Yeah.
that's in the book too.
Yeah. Anyways, Pat, do you have any more articles?
I do. I have several.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
Do you have any more articles, Jack? Because the one I'm not picking is the one I thought you would take.
So page 20.
8.
8. We already did that.
This is the second set. This is another set of domestic. This one's domestic dog now.
Oh,
No, it's 28.
28, you said. I thought you said 8.
Yes.
Domestic dogs.
Yeah. It's all right.
Yeah.
Jack likes them wild. He doesn't like the
I just thought it's another dog article, and then I wrote in, are we running out of things to talk about? Because not that I don't like another good dog article.
But 2 in a row, yeah.
Yeah, 2 in a row, and this one just talks about how you train the different dogs. You can either train them to be hunters, fighters, or just domestic.
That's interesting.
And that gives you a list of equipment you can give them if they're fighting dogs.
Can you give them, like, swords?
Well, if you look at this one's got scale mail on.
I saw that.
And I don't know if he's jumping at an attacker
or is he killing that poor other dog?
The small other dog.
Anything else you have to say about
Jack?
dogs, Jack?
Well, I thought Jack was going to say something.
Yeah, when I saw this article, I was going to look back and see if it was the same person who had written the one before, like if this was a two-parter.
It is, I believe.
It's the same guy, yeah.
And it's thing, and then I was like, yeah, I didn't have the strength or compassion to do so.
You just like you did. Oops, I did it again.
Yeah, I mean, this one is not nearly as long as the other one. It's just, and it was a very quick read, so
well,
it didn't bother me as much.
It's just adding dogs that are already in the game, just making them a little, fleshing them out a bit.
Yeah,
give them some depth. Yeah,
making them more fleshed or more fleshed out NPCs.
Faux show. Jack, no more articles?
No.
I'm just gonna look. I don't think I have any more articles.
I have 2 more.
Oh, I do have another one. Page 70. 70, I think it's actually 72. I always have PDF pages. It's the Ares log. It's the letter to the editor by Roger E. Moore, aka James Bond. He's this one's usually it's just like, oh, what's in the Ares part, but this one he goes that people are bitching that Dragon is all by Americans for Americans. So he lists all the Canadians working on the magazine. Including, obviously, the big names, Ed Greenwood and Dennis Bouvet, who's done a lot of great covers.
Stephen Innes, who does great dog articles.
Yes, so there you go, all Canadians. But it's just so funny that for some reason Roger Moore took anger about people saying it's all done by Americans. So he just like cited a bunch of Canadians. And then at the end he's like, well, there is one British guy, and mostly nobody else because there's not much distribution in other parts of the world. So obviously nobody knows about it to write in. But he says there's a lot of letters from other places, but no articles.
Yeah, well,
but I don't.
Editor.
For some reason, he got a burr in his butt about somebody really complained about this. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's all American centric. I didn't see a lot of
I didn't think it was American centric.
Yeah.
What I thought it was gamer centric.
Yeah,
regardless.
I'm Canadian. From. I didn't notice a bunch of like flag waving or it didn't. Yeah. It didn't seem. Like
I mean, other than the Gully Dwarves, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, that's true. They're very Appalachian, but. So that is my last article. So, Patrick, what you got?
37 is one.
37.
This is also done by a Canadian.
It's Centaur Papers.
The Centaur Papers. So when I read this, I go, oh my God, is this an ecology now? But basically, it was 2 papers written by 2 different people that they stacked together into one.
Yeah. It says it even says a very long article. It's like, you shouldn't be saying that about your own articles.
I mean, this is longer than what Ed would ever write. But it does have very nice information on it. If you want to know anything about a freaking centaur, it's here. Like the things I learned that I didn't know. And
things
they
I
even
didn't
crossed my
want to
mind
know.
that it would never even cross my mind about a centaur is that they have 2 hearts, one in the upper body, one in the lower body.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and and centaurs are vegetarians, and each herd has their own set of unwritten laws. So basically, from herd to herd, you never know if you're going to break the law. Basically,
it sounds like a bunch of barbarians to me.
Yes, so. That was the center. I mean, it's a long read, and
It is
there's a
very
lot
long.
of
I just
stuff.
scrolled through it all. It's like 30 pages. So
Yeah, it's ridiculously long,
I have
and there's a
a
lot.
short magazine. There's a 30 pages dedicated to Centaur. So
I mean, there's a whole 10, 15 paragraphs on just appearance and grooming, which I most of this, some of this, like Centaur Law, I read. Appearance and grooming, glossed right over.
Yeah.
you don't
Origins
want to
of
know how
history, read.
they
Religions, I read.
groom each other.
No, that was unnecessary.
I
So there was quite a few things I glossed over. I did delve deeper into centaurs as characters. So there's a bunch of ways that you can play centaurs as characters here. Um,
I'm curious how they paid these people.
that didn't come too much to effect pretty much until Planescape. In Planescape, you were allowed to play a centaur as a character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how they paid these people because they took both articles and they didn't just print them back to back. They combined the two articles. So did they
Yeah.
pay them for all the words they used, or did they pay them for what they wrote? That's my curious.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's like the poor Kelly there. I assume it's a girl because it could be a guy's name, but they got their half their article just written out and they got paid like $1, and they're like, what the hell? Or they argued, I said that in mine, but I said that in mine, so they get paid double. I would hope they paid them for the original article. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. Yeah. All right. And
Next
for my
one.
last article,
Yes.
let's go to page 77. This will be quick.
I don't care. I'm not Jack. You can talk forever.
The Saurians. Of course, in Aries, there's always something for Star Frontiers for me. And the Saurians was a lizard type race that you could play in Star Frontiers. So if you're a big fan of the Slee Stacks from that cartoon on
Land of the Lost.
Yeah, Land of the Lost, this was the race you wanted to be.
Yeah.
Or
They
from
weren't
Doctor
as
Who.
stupid or they weren't as animalistic as the Slee Stacks, but they definitely look like the Slee Stacks.
Doctor Who, they're smarter. What were they called?
There's also a second slash article connected to this. There's also a mention of tanks for Star Frontiers and the corrections and stuff that when we talked about vehicle weapons a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. Yeah, it's they amended their vehicle combat for Star Frontiers.
Yeah. But that's it for my articles.
Okay, Jack, we got an ad from you.
Page 2, please.
Page 2. It's also my only ad. It's a great picture.
Yeah, this is a better talisman ad than the other one where they showed the cardboard standees.
Or yeah. Like I think page 2 now. Last week we had the Judge Dredd,
yeah.
and it was the big splash, full color, and now it's talisman. And this is for an expansion that is just.
I think this is the dragon expansion. They don't call it the dragon expansion, but I think this is what it is.
No,
No,
this
they
is
just call
just
it the-
spells, objects, and events to make Talisman.
It's just an expansion.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the first of many expansions for Talisman.
yeah. I mean, the reason why I thought it was a dragon one because it has the dragon on it, and it's got the little castle tower and the.
No, you get a free poster.
Yes. Well, actually, it doesn't have a dragon on it. It has a wyvern.
Wyvern.
But,
Yeah, that's true. That's a wyvern.
Yeah.
Yes. So
We don't know if the English follow traditional dragon. No,
Wow. Traditional dragons don't have wings, so.
Chinese dragons.
how dare you?
No, the worms.
No, those definitively do not have wings.
Worms.
Unless you're what's his face? Oh God, I can't even remember that
St.
dragon's
George.
name
St. George the
Alcor.
Dragon Slayer. Yes.
now. Alcor, yeah. Jack knew where I was
Falcor?
going
Oh,
with
he's not a real dragon though, isn't he? What's he called? He's a luck dragon. Yeah, that's right. Never mind.
That tangent went wild. No one sitting at home. The people at home painting their miniatures, listening to us babble. Even they just just stopped and looked, cocked their heads like an old record ad from the 80s. What?
How'd they start talking about Falcor when they're talking about Talisman?
Talisman, yes. So this is an expansion for the game, and yeah, I think page 2 is going to be my hey, I got to check this out. If this is the new way that they do it, the page
The
2 is
big
going to be an
things,
ad
yeah.
that's just going to be a A slobber knocker.
Yeah, this probably adds the
Probably just extra
like
stuff.
it adds the ninja. Was the ninja in the first one? I can't remember who it was in the.
But it does say this is for Talisman second edition. So this is second edition of Talisman already. Full color
Yeah, that's
cards. Full color.
yeah.
They because the old cards were just those like look like Monopoly cards
Yeah, it was text on
hmm
like
with
yeah.
maybe like a little drawing, but not. Now it's like full color. I think that's also why this looks so good. They're like, look, Dragon's got good art now. So I mean, Talisman's got good art now.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely if I'm scrolling through here, I would be doing a double take with that picture.
I did. I was like, what the hell is this? And then it's like, oh, Talisman. Because that is an amazing picture. That
Yeah,
could be a
when I was
cover.
scrolling through, the talisman actually grabbed my eye first. I was like, "Oh, talisman."
Yeah. So there you go. Pat,
So that's me.
do you have an ad?
I do.
That was my ad
On
also,
page
so I have no ads.
on page 30,
Turdy.
it's Star Frontier's Zebulon Guide to Frontier Space. I did not have it. Now I want it.
It's just a an extra universe.
Yeah, it's
book.
just a book, a guidebook. You know, like you would see for Shadowrun or any of the other RPGs at the time. I really didn't know this existed for some reason.
Well, it says it's a Nighthawk's adventure, so I wonder if that's just.
Yeah. But it comes. I think it's the guide, and then it comes with a Nighthawk adventure in it, so you could play the ship combat game, which was played at Gen Con 17, listed in that last week's article.
Obviously.
So,
So is it a module that's just named Zebulon's Guide to the
No,
Frontier
it says
Space?
that
no,
it's
it's a guide, and it has a module in it.
it's an indispensable reference for the worlds of Star Frontiers.
Okay,
So I know the cover is misleading, isn't it?
It's only misleading because it says Nighthawk Air in the
Yeah.
middle. It should add said
Including,
in
and then-
addition,
yeah.
including.
Yeah.
to me the text in the ad beside it didn't jive with the
Yeah.
cover, and I'm like, am I not understanding this correctly? But
So there's
okay.
new combat system, new alien races, new weapons and equipment, new official character classes, and more. So yeah.
Well,
Did you look it up yet, Pat?
I have
over
not-
9,
I haven't looked it up yet.
under 90.
Yeah. There is a cool DC ad right below it. With
I was too busy looking for Evinia for you.
There's a cool DC ad right below it with a bunch of stuff. The DC game was the covers are very eye catching. Like that was a beauty.
Yeah, I do like them.
I bought like one of the. We used to go to UBCon in Buffalo, and
I mean, it's almost Justice League on the front, right?
yeah, it's like the fun stuff. But it's they had like a whole bundle of like a bunch of DC superhero stuff they were just getting rid of. Like that was the best thing about UBCon. You go on Sunday and they just have bundles of stuff. So I ended up with really weird things, but I bought a bunch of these DC superhero adventures.
I was gonna say, I'm sure we could find some of these stuff at some of those vendors that we don't go to at Gen Con.
I bet we go to. I bet if we looked in the stacks at Games Plus, we'd find DC superheroes. But yeah.
I mean, at some point we should maybe hit those older things because we're running out of things to pick up.
Yeah.
I think they did just layout wise, they did a very smart thing. Those modules look like a comic book. It's got the banner across the top.
Got the
It's
DC logo in the corner.
The logos there. It's got the picture front and center of like something that probably isn't going to happen in on the inside. Yeah, everything. If you like comic books, you look at that and subconsciously you're like, okay, yeah, look, that's comforting.
Yeah, you compare it to the Marvel superheroes ones where it's like a frame and it's a smaller picture in the middle. It looks like the D&D module is kind of like the same.
It looks like a game.
Where these look like they look like comics. Yeah, I think marketing wise, DC superheroes looks better for sure.
Exactly.
Well, can I throw in one extra ad?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what's your last ad?
30. I didn't have another ad, but I just was
you
flipping through the thing. Let's go to 36.
36.
I thought one of you guys might have grabbed this, is why I didn't say it.
Oh, shirts.
Oh.
Now, here's where Dragon Magazine Dungeon has merch and clothing merch at that.
That Dragonlance shirt is terrible. Look how small the the
font
title
is?
yeah.
The dragon one is not a good one either.
Well, which one? The just the dragon name? Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
small. It needs to be bigger.
It should have been bigger right
The
across
other two
the
are
back.
the
Right
other
across
two
the
are
front.
nice, but very
Yeah, I
80s sweatshirts. Like that would be hoodies or
Yeah, it's very
T-shirts,
100%.
yeah, sweatshirts back in the day. Yeah.
I mean, these are what, and this is still before we catered to big people. You could
Well-
still the biggest thing you get is an extra large.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say, like they took crew neck and they turned it into a challenge of some sort. Like, look at how tiny
They're like
those.
Nehru jackets.
Yeah, it's
If you have a
very-
head, you're not getting your head through that thing.
It's like
Yeah.
yeah, like high collar. They'd be like this. Hey guys, I'm wearing my Dragon magazine. Yeah, styles have changed and
The quest is over.
design has gotten better.
If you need to be ridiculed even more for D&D, here's a shirt.
Yeah, yeah. Once again, yeah. Who's gonna wear that
So,
nowadays? Obviously, would.
Well, nowadays I would wear that proudly. Back in '85,
I bet that. I bet there's collectors. I bet these shirts are worth a lot of money.
It's sad to say I would never have bought one of those T-shirts.
I know band shirts, like old band shirts, are worth a lot of money. So I bet these are worth a lot of money too, like the originals.
I wish I had saved mine instead of cutting the sleeves off and making them for, like workout wear or.
That's why they're worth
shirts.
so much because people did that to every shirt.
Yeah.
Like all the concerts I went to when
Yep.
concerts were only $15.
Yep, you're like, hey, and like a shirt was like $5. So
Yeah.
yep.
And when you bought tickets at Ticketmaster, it was $350 for the whole thing, not $350 a ticket.
fine, 300.
Well, it's not even $350 now. It's like $25 surcharge now for every ticket.
At least no, it was way more than that. I bought Tool tickets recently, and it was ridiculous. So
Yeah.
not good. Jack, you'd literally have a heart attack if I told you how much you paid for those tickets.
No, my yarmulke would spin like a. Just the thought of it makes my skin crawl.
Is that it,
Hey,
guys? Anybody got anything else?
I think that's it.
So that was episode 103, issue 103 of Dragon Magazine. Please like, share, subscribe, comment below. What was your favorite band shirt as a child?
Exactly. We love it. We love the comments.
Yeah, just give it, any comments fun, but yeah. Anyways.
Would you in the '80s? Would you have worn any one of those D&D shirts? Truthfully,
Yeah, truthfully, don't forget you would have been mocked mercilessly.
Funny story. My mother got me a shirt, and she says, "Hey, it says D&D on the front," and I was like, "Hey, yeah, it does. I'm gonna wear it." It didn't say D&D. It said Dio, and it had 2 dragons on it. And then,
Like Dio the band?
Yes.
Oh, awesome! Is that when you started
So
liking
I
Dio?
was walking around.
I would have
in
worn
elementary
that.
school with a Dio shirt on because it had dragons on it, and someone came up and said, "Hey, yeah, you like Dio?" And I was like, "Well, let me learn." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
That's where you learned Dio.
Yeah,
That's
Ronnie James Dio,
funny story.
Black Sabbath, Rainbow.
Jack.
Yep.
Jack was a big Dio guy.
But the font made it. My mother said, "Oh, I bought you a D&D shirt."
So in a roundabout way, your mother got you into Dio.
Yeah.
That's
What
funny.
a strange story.
Thanks, Mom.
Well, there you go. If you have comments like that, comment below. And until next time, I've been Rob.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Chopper.
We'll see you in 1 week for 104. Be there.
104.
Be there for
96
the
more.
continuing adventure.
296 more for Jack's contract to be up.
That's more than that, actually.
96.
It's like
I'm counting the
300 something.
days. I got a calendar now.
I think it's 315 more, something like that. Anyways, bye-bye.